It's time for another episode of Hops and Hedges, where we talk about beer, landscaping, and everything in between. Season 1 is proudly sponsored by ext.tech, helping you grow and revolutionize your landscaping business. Now crack open a cold one, and let's dig in. And here we go. So on the show today is Almas Khalam from Brantford. Her business is called Truleaf Garden, and she specializes in edible plants and gardens. Almas, welcome.
Thank you, Ether.
I'm so glad you're here. We've been following each other on Instagram, I think, for a while now.
Yes.
And this podcast is just a really good excuse for us to actually meet and to nerd out about plants and gardens and landscaping and a little bit of everything.
Yes, I'm so excited for this. I was like, okay, let's finally get to meet you in Zoom.
Yep, in our virtual reality, right?
Yes.
That is now one of the, I guess, good things or goodish things that came out of COVID is we're a lot more comfortable now. I love that I don't have to drive and park anymore. That's what I don't like, trying to find parking. I forget about it. And we're in southwestern Ontario. When it's cold outside, I don't want to go outside.
I really like this virtual reality.
Right? It's pretty nice. So again, Almas, welcome. So you've actually been in business for about a year. So you're still pretty new with your business. So why don't you tell for people who are tuning in, this is their first time meeting you and hearing about your business, kind of how you started and what is it that you do?
Okay, so I'm a certified garden consultant, a botanist, and a floral designer. So I combined everything together to build my business, and I niched down to edible garden coaching and consulting.
Very awesome. Something that I am not very good at. I partially blame that on the fact that our backyard is almost all shade, which is a struggle when trying to grow things that you can eat. So I've recently been told that I can try spinach and ginger.
You can try if it's as you already know that if you want sunlight just to grow flowers. For green leaves, you don't need that much sunlight. That's
Okay. I like that trick. So just for green leaves, I don't need too much sun.
Yes.
Okay. I got to find some green leaf stuff that the rabbits will eat it before I get to it, but it's fine. I'm all good with feeding the bunnies too.
Yeah. At least they get to eat.
Yeah. And I think so we were talking a little bit before we started recording the podcast, just talking about kind of how we got started and how we got into this, because we're both familiar with Nicole over at Gardenary.
Yes.
Right. So I think you've actually completed your certification through that. You are a certified Gardenary consultant, which is amazing. Kudos to you.
Thank you. It was kind of like you said, COVID made me like, okay, I want to do something new and learn something new techniques.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up finding Gardenery, and I was like, okay, it's cool. I can do online and get certified. That's so cool.
It is an awesome program. And I mean, Gardenary. I mean, Nicole owns and runs, she started Gardenary, but there are certified consultants all across the globe. Like it's not specific to the US or Canada. Her training is really conducive to supporting whatever zone, like whatever hardiness zone you live in. And I'm pretty sure that's how I first came across you, because I was like, what do you mean somebody's doing this in Ontario? I gotta look this girl up. And then we've been following each other now for a while. So very cool. I personally am not certified through Gardenary, but I have attended some of her webinars. So if anybody's interested in finding out more, I'm sure you can look up Gardenary online. She's on Instagram. She's got a website, which is pretty awesome. Yeah. So how did you get into like why floral design? Why edibles? I know that's where you ended up and that's how you've kind of drilled down and that's your niche. But what is it about plants or gardens or design? Like how did you get here?
Okay, so I born and raised in India. So Their planting is not much an issue like in Ontario or in Canada. I can plant everything. Growing up, like it's not a thing like farm to table or eating
Right.
from the backyard. It's not a thing. It's like it's the regular thing
You
everyone
want it,
do.
you just grow it.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
everyone do it. Like even now, people from my home country, my dad, everyone will. Are you really teaching this? Is this a thing?
It
I was like,
is.
yes, it is. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So that was me. Like I love plants. When I just come back from my school and I just plant. Once I still remember when I was a kid. I was planting in my garden and I have a lot of plants left and I don't have space. So I asked my neighbor, "Can I plant this plant over there?" They said yes. Okay. I just love to plant.
Yep.
That's how I just ended up taking botany as my course, and I learned that they're not teaching you to plant; they're teaching you anatomy and physiology,
Right.
everything. So I like that part for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And okay,
Botany versus horticulture, right? Because
yes.
botany is more of that under the microscope, cellular
Mhm.
structures, the life
A
cycle, that kind of
lot of
stuff. Where horticulture
scientific.
is more propagation, taking trimmings, growing
Mhm.
things, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, at that age, Alex, okay, maybe this is the right thing. That's how I went, and I learned a lot of things like uh genetic engineering. I learned a lot of other things, and I just came back to my root, like, oh no, 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 that's not what I want to do. Then
Yep.
I traveled all across other side of the globe to Canada, and I was like, okay, this is hard. Nothing is growing here in the snow.
Yeah. It is a very different climate.
Yes.
So something that we only or that I just, I guess, revealed before we got on this podcast is the fact that I lived in India for a year. So between 2005 and 2006, as part of the Rotary Youth Exchange Program, I actually lived in Allahabad in UP.
Wow,
So I
nice.
learned to speak Hindi.
Ooh,
मैं
that's
थोड़ा
cool.
हिंदी बोलती हूँ.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, do you speak Hindi?
A little,
A
very
little?
little. I'm from South. My mother tongue is Malayalam. That's
Yep.
really very regional.
It's
People out
crazy. It's such the assumption, right? And
yes.
here I am doing it. It's like, oh, you lived in India, so you speak Hindi. It's like,
And you speak Hindi. That's like, oh my God,
yeah,
somebody else
and
speaking.
people
I'm
don't
not.
know, or I'll get in conversations with people and I'll slip into an accent and they kind of look at me and then my accent turns into Hindi, especially talking about food. I can get really excited talking about food in Hindi. So I can vouch for the fact that the climate is very different than southwestern Ontario.
It's very different.
So that must have been a bit of a shock coming
Yes.
to Canada and then going to plant something.
Yes.
And
And I really want to do something like when I back in my country, I was like, I want to do something like interior designing, but with plants out.
right.
That's how I ended up in floral designing.
Yeah.
Figured out, okay, this is not what what I was thinking, but I
Yep.
like floral designing. I still like playing with textures and colors. I learned a lot
Yep.
through that course. So I combined my botany, my plant knowledge, the designing part of floral designing
Yeah.
into new. Like I want to teach people how to grow their own food,
Right.
and that's how like in Canada or in Ontario, I just figured out the temperatures, how the
Yeah.
temperatures are going, and when can we plant? When is the right time to plant this plant? Like in
Mm-hmm.
salads and all, you can plant them in early spring and late fall. And in
Right.
summer, we plant all the tomatoes, all fruiting plants. That's how the curves goes like.
Oh my gosh. I have still so much to learn about growing edibles. It's crazy to me with, just combating our seasons. And Southwestern Ontario is not the coldest in Canada. Like in our territories, people are growing their own food because it's too expensive to bring things in, or the climate is just so harsh that the cost of everything is so high. So they have to figure things out. I've either housing them or greenhouses, and it's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Um,
And one thing I promise to people, like you can grow something year round every time.
yep,
It starts from sprouts, microgreens, something. You can grow anything, something.
yep,
So it gives you a pleasure, or like if I am eating something which I'm growing, which is like, oh wow, I can do this.
yep,
And my kids like, okay, kids know what's root, what's
yep,
leaf. They already know that.
yeah,
It's not something, food is not something which you only see in supermarket, which is something
right.
you can grow.
Mm-hmm. That was something that was really hard for me as part of they told me it was reverse culture shock. So because I lived in India for a year, where all of the spices, all of the food are fresh, you buy them daily almost from the market. You have a relationship with the people who grow and sell the food to you. And then I came back home and I remember walking into a Walmart or a Sobeys and just being so appalled by the amount of stuff and packaging and plastic. It was it still boggles my mind every once in a while, but reverse culture shock is a whole other podcast that we're not going to get into. And so it's funny because you were talking about interior design with plants. And so just a couple days ago, I recorded a podcast episode um, with Adam, and he and I, we were talking about this concept of biophilic design. Is this a term that you'd heard of before?
Not really, but I kind of understand what it is. Like,
Yeah, really cool stuff. And I think it's really only in the last, I mean, it's just my opinion, but I feel like in the past maybe 5 years, it's starting to pick up traction. But it's interior design with exterior design basics. So you're bringing the outdoors inside.
mhm.
And it's a fascinating topic. So very, very cool. And then here, what we also have is plantscaping or interior scaping, which is designing interior places with plants. So it's an
Nice.
actual job.
Okay.
It does exist.
Okay.
Uh, yep. So Sally Harvey, one of she's a really big bit of a celebrity with Landscape Ontario. That's, I believe, how she started, was doing like plantscaping or design and installations and maintenance for malls and office buildings and things like that. Because especially here, when we're trapped inside or we feel trapped inside, we need plants, right?
We do need that green space.
Absolutely. So we've got more landscaping and plant stuff to talk about, but before we get into that, I want to know what type of beverage you are drinking.
So today I have my tea. This is my special, not special, this is my new favorite tea.
New
Uh,
favorite, okay.
it's from a local shop here in Brantford called Steve's Tea. So they have a huge collection of tea, like everything
Yep.
you can imagine, like all herb blend. So
Okay.
this is like cream of Earl Grey.
Yes.
They have bergamot and calendula with the
Very
tea.
nice.
It smells sweet and
Yep.
the dessert kind of smell.
Yep.
I
Have
love
you
it.
heard of I don't know if it's just a London, Ontario thing, but here we have something called a London fog.
Yes, it's that.
Yeah, so that's something that I don't even know. I doubt it started here. I should look it up. I have no idea. So it's a thing, but that's what that creamy bergamot Earl
Yes.
Grey. Earl
Yeah.
Grey's by far one of my favorite teas. So I am not drinking tea. I have I'm actually not drinking a beer today. I think this is my first podcast episode where I'm not drinking a beer. Considering it's a podcast about beer and flowers, we're both not doing really good at this in this episode. But today was a bit of a long day, and we're interviewing a little bit late in the day, so I'm actually having a rum. So this is a Kraken rum, which comes from New Jersey. And yeah, Kraken is probably one of my two go-tos. So I like Kraken, and the other one is called Dead Man's Fingers, which sounds awful, but it's quite nice. From the UK, I believe, or England, or somewhere across the pond. It's not Canadian or North American. Um, so back to the good stuff. So edible plants.
Mhm.
Is there something that you find really easy to grow and something that like provides you with a challenge? Like, do you have one that's super easy and you're like, oh, this is my go-to. I'm gonna plant this every year. And is there one that you're like, oh, if I could just figure out how to do this one thing?
The easy one. We'll go with the easy one. Lettuce.
Lettuce? That's the easy one, dependable.
You just throw the seed, they'll come up. And
Hmm.
radish.
Okay, radishes and lettuce. That is what I'm going to start with. Thank you.
uh, One reason they'll come up and I can harvest real quick.
Right.
French breakfast radish, you
Hmm.
can within 1 month.
Wow.
Some are 21 days, 25 days, they're saying. Like they're small, and I'm gonna try different varieties of radish this year.
Very cool. So lettuce and radishes. And where is there somewhere, do you have like a favorite place that you source your seeds from?
Local seeds for
Yep.
sure. Local seeds. So I forgot the name. It's local.
Okay.
Not West Coast, not just local seeds. Like I'll send you the link, and you can just
Yeah.
put the.
Send me away. Because I know I've made the trip a couple times to Kitchener to get William Dam seeds.
Mhm.
That's one that comes up to my mind. I know they do a lot of uh not heritage seeds. What's the word called?
Hello.
Heirloom. Oh my gosh. See, I do not do edible gardens, as you can tell. This is something I definitely need some. There's lots of room for improvement, let's just say. But isn't that one of the greatest things about gardening?
Yes, I was like, even if I do edible garden, but if I find someone else, they'll say, okay, I like this variety better. And I was like,
Right.
why? It's easy. I was like, okay, I'll try that.
Yeah. Always learning. There's always something new, which I just that's part of I think why I love gardening and horticulture and landscaping because we're always and constantly meeting new people, both in the profession, but then also homeowners. Like how often is it that the homeowner has something to teach us as well, right?
Every time that I meet someone, they have amazing stories and amazing things.
Yep, and I love that. I would say that landscaping, horticulture, gardening is not for someone who has the personality that they think they know everything, because they won't last very long, right?
There's
Um,
always new thing, and there's always new plants they're making every day.
yeah, crazy. I've had Paul Galatny on the show, the tattooed gardener. So he pollinates by hand his own daylilies.
Here we go.
Like he creates his own varieties and they're registered and got their license or certifications or whatever the word is for it, but it's just fascinating stuff. Really, really
Yeah,
cool.
one, and we're trying to learn a name, and they're creating new names. So I was like, okay.
Yeah. Or you find a favorite plant and then they change the whole family. They're like, "Oh, sorry, actually it's not Actea, it's Simicifuga." What do you mean?
And sometimes I ended up like, it's not available anymore.
That's heartbreaking when that happens. Yeah. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about houseplants. I see you've got two behind you,
I have some all
three
up here and
scattered.
there. Yeah, because I have a toddler, so I can't keep them anywhere. He's
Yep.
checking the woods all the time.
Yep.
So
Very cool.
yeah, house plants. I have air plants. I have cactus. I have succulents. I have some, I don't know if I have a favorite.
Yep. And so I
I
see
love
the
it.
one behind you. You've got I think that's the halo light.
And I have peace lily. That's easy for me. Like it's coming up. It's just there. I don't have, even if my toddler just pull it up, I can just push it. They're
Which
coming.
plant is that?
Peace lily.
Oh,
Uh,
peace lily. Yes, now I see it. I wasn't sure which plant that was. Got it. Very cool.
and sometimes they put some seeds in the pot. And last fall, I don't know, I got some dried wheat, and my kids just put them in the pots, and this just came out, and we got wheat, 2 or 3 wheat. I was like,
Huh.
is this simple?
So not quite enough to make a cup of flour to make a
No,
cake or anything, but it's still
but
pretty cool.
but I didn't get wheat, but I see wheat grown. I was like, okay, is this the simple growing wheats?
Hmm. See, so cool. I think I've got there's a few different seeds that I've tried to grow, but um I'm a very lazy grower, if that makes sense. So even with herbs and stuff, I'm usually really quick to go to the local grower and buy the seedlings that have already been started.
Me too.
Yeah, do you know what? Your secret is safe with me. We won't tell anyone else. It's just between you and me and everyone else on the internet.
Yes.
Perfect. So I've got a bit of a collection behind me, as you can see. It actually looks a lot smaller on the Zoom screen, but it's like
Yeah.
I've got plants
Yeah.
kind of all throughout there. Our upstairs hallway is filled with plants. I've got a bookshelf downstairs filled with plants. Um, so right now I'm really enjoying the euphorbias because I
Mm.
went to the local greenhouse and I didn't realize that euphorbia is treated more like a succulent and not a cacti. Because I tend to either forget about the cacti until they're dead. It's like, oh yeah, you do need water. Sorry. Or I overwater them. So me and cacti usually don't get along. But succulents are enough, they bounce back,
Yeah.
right? I forget them long enough where I can save them.
Yeah.
And
My
so they don't
kind
die.
sometimes kind of like get skinny. I just give them, okay, it's time to water.
Yeah. And I wait for them to tell me, right? It's like until I see you suffering, you're not getting any water. And that's kind of how I treat my
There is the
succulents,
podcast. We are just spilling everything.
right?
Everyone will think, oh, two garden people, their gardens are
They're just
perfect.
pretending that they know what they're talking about. It's gardening. We are still learning every day, every day. Um,
And one fun thing I noticed, like people here, everyone the indoor plants, like do you notice the new indoor plants like mimosa and
like the
everything?
tropicals?
Yeah, tropicals. When I see them, they're like, okay, they used to be treated as weeds in
Yeah,
some other
yeah,
places. And now people are trying hard to keep them alive inside. I was
yeah.
like, how is it possible?
It's funny actually. So one of the uh euphorbias here, like a tropical plant that I've grown quite fond of, when I was in Egypt, in Cairo, Egypt, I worked there for a month with a design firm, and they had a hedge, like a euphorbia
Ah,
hedge outside of the apartment building where I was staying. And here it's like a really high-end, high-ish end.
yeah, you have to take care of really careful. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure, because they don't like this weather.
right. I mean, it would be kind of funny. I feel like we should start sending dandelions to India,
Mhm.
but I'm sure there'd be a law or something against that. But we could say, oh, it's a tropical from Canada.
Tropical from Canada. I love
Yeah,
that.
you know, it's really
No,
high end.
yeah, it would be very expensive for them.
And probably not easy to grow over there. So that's so funny just thinking about seeing a dandelion on a shelf. But that's what it would be like, right? Seeing like mimosa or even the one behind you there. Is
It's
I
yeah,
want to say draconia
yeah,
or
it's kind of weed.
yeah, it's just like a common street tree, weed tree that you would see in the ditch along the side of the road somewhere in India.
People will say, yeah, just cut it off, otherwise it will just
Take over.
take over.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, it's not even growing. How can it take over?
Yeah. And that's what we say often as garden designers, right? Is that it's right plant, right place.
Mhm.
So even though some things might be aggressive growers, I'm not very good with edibles, so I actually can't even think of something right now that might take over because it's not
Mint.
my area. What's that?
Mint. Mint.
Mint. Yes. Oh my gosh. That is an excellent example. Absolutely, right? Mint. Don't like here, especially Southwestern Ontario, it is happy. Sun, shade, clay, sand, doesn't matter.
Oh, after the snow, they'll be like, okay, we are
Yeah.
good to come
Oh, I
out.
feel sun now. It's time to take over the entire lawn. Like, no. Mint here goes in a pot
Yes.
or in a garden that has concrete on all four sides so it can't
Yeah,
escape.
stay there.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times I've gone for a consultation and they're like, "Oh, well, I planted mint here. I'm just going to maintain it." And I
Oh,
tell them,
you have
"That's
to, you
I
have to,
like that you
yeah,
think so,
every day.
but we should take it out." No, no, it's okay. I'm just going to keep cutting around it.
Mhm.
Maybe just put it in a pot. Just,
Just in
you go
case.
away for a vacation once and that's it. What else do we have on here? Not too sure. So talking about getting quality leads, right? Isn't that a big hurdle for all small business?
It
Right?
is.
Like it's such a big thing. And I know I've talked about it before on this podcast with Carla, who's HR in landscaping here in Ontario, and probably she's going to grow, I imagine. But when you're small business, when I say that, I mean employee wise, right? We're just starting out. Both you and me, we're less than 5 years old, right?
Everything.
And everything is new and it's just us because you don't have any employees, right? It's just you. Like you don't
Uh,
have a team or you don't have staff
I'm
members.
the operator. I'm the social media manager.
Yep. You're
So,
HR, you're the marketing, you're everything. I know that feeling. And so then to also get your name out there and let people know that you're here and what you do, that's definitely something to overcome. So hopefully, once this podcast episode goes public, we'll be able to just share it over everything.
yes.
LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. If anybody's tuning in and this is your first time hearing about Almas and Truleaf Gardens in Brantford, share away. Tell your friends, tell your family, spread the word. If you need a garden consultant in Brantford, Almas has got you,
Yes.
right? That's the plan. So very cool. Well, we're just about getting to time here, but I did want to thank you, Almas, for coming onto the show, right? Stretching yourself, doing something that I haven't
Yes.
done before.
I'm so happy and thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. And I'm sure as your business grows, we'll have you on the show again and we'll do an Almas part 2.
Oh, wow.
Excellent. Okay. Thanks, Almas, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Ciao. That concludes this week's episode, hosted by me, Heather Gerard at My Landscape Artist. Now, before you go, here's some info about our sponsor, ext.tech. In today's fast-paced world, your landscaping business needs modern solutions to keep up with the change. That's where EXT comes in. EXT is revolutionizing the way you manage projects and streamlines your landscaping, snow removal, and construction operations. Instead of juggling 5 different software packages, endless spreadsheets, losing track of leads, and missing out on potential sales, you could be leveraging AI job routing, client management, and financial insights with a modern mobile app that employees love to use. With EXT's flat rate pricing, you'll never be caught off guard. If you're ready to revolutionize and grow your landscaping business, Visit ext.tech today to learn more. And for additional savings, use the code HOPS10 at checkout, or just tell them that Heather sent you. See you next week for another episode of Hops and Hedges.